Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to you all, our academic staff, senior lecturers, all BLA graduates and undergraduates, and everyone who's joined with us today for the second episode of Law Station for the year 2021-2022. Leave your mark, a guide for individual personality development, brought to you by the Student Society of Landscape Architects. For the benefit of those of you who are joining with us for the first time, let me introduce to you what Law Station is all about. Law Station is a series of events that are organized by the SSLA with the hope of imparting knowledge, information, and awareness about the ever-changing field of landscape architecture to our fellow undergraduates. And as a second episode for this year, we have taken a different approach to conduct a discussion based on two of the most important skills essential to climb up the ladder, whatever your career path may be. That is personality development and communication skill development. Today, we have with us a wonderful individual to share her experiences with us. She is a Chief People Officer of Hella Clothing, has a master's degree in development economics, master's in business administration from the University of Colombo, and a BSc in built environment architecture from the University of Moratuwa. She is a certified coach, certified leadership trainer, and a certified high-performing teams trainer. She has worked in several capacities at Unilever Sri Lanka under marketing, sales, and HR. She's also a volunteer worker teaching at a Dharma school, conducting meditation and Dharma talks, and coaching and counseling. We warmly welcome our guest speaker for today, Ms. Nadisha Vijay-Singha. Before commencing, I have a kind reminder to our audience. Please keep your mics muted at all times to avoid background noises and any interruptions. And if you have any questions regarding the session, please don't hesitate to post them on our Slido link that we have shared in the chat. They will be forwarded to our speaker and clarified during the Q&A session at the end of the event. So without further ado, let me now welcome this amazing personality on screen to commence the session. Madam, over to you.
Thank you, Natasha, right?
Yes, madam, I'm Natasha.
Okay, so Natasha, I was wondering who you are speaking about. I was like, hello. It's always embarrassing to hear about oneself being spoken about, and Natasha, you will experience that too one day. So we can do this in two ways. One is I can just rattle off and just talk. And I have warned the organizer that when I start talking, I don't stop. I don't think that's a good way to go, but I think a better way might be for me to ask you, what do you want to hear from me? I know there must be lots of things that is going on your mind now that you are in university, and you'll be in a couple of years or very soon going to work. Some of you may have done internships, some of you may have worked before, some of you may have not worked ever before. I come with 23 years of work experience. I have worked, very briefly, if I tell you, I got selected for engineering and architecture both at the University of Moratuwa. My father at that time was a professor of civil engineering at the University of Moratuwa. So he advised me because I was interested in art as well as in mathematics. He said, why don't you go for architecture? It's a good combination of arts and maths. So even though I got selected for engineering, I opted for architecture. And he was right, it was a fantastic course. At that time, there was no design course, there was no landscape architecture course, it was only the built environment course as a degree. And then there was a master's, which led you to be work experience, to be a chartered architect. So it was a 7-year course that was chartered out. I did the 3-year degree. I topped the batch every year, I got a first class. I enjoyed the course a lot. It was a lot of fun. But during the course, I realized that even though I enjoyed it, even though I was good at it, that was not what I wanted to do as a career. So I was thinking what to do next after I finished my studies. And I wanted to do masters because there were 50 in the batch back then, other than me. Everyone else was going to do their masters after 1 year of industrial training. And I didn't want to get left behind, you know. At that age, we compare so much with each other. And I thought, I will get left behind. In a couple of years, everybody else will have a master's and so on. So the landscape architecture faculty was just getting set up back then, and they were offering a master's program, and I did sign up for it. In the meantime, I was also looking at what else to do and so on. And Unilever happened to advertise that they're taking management trainees in. And I just applied for it. I had no idea what Unilever does or what a management trainee is. This was before you can Google things. Right now, you kids are so lucky. You just Google things. Back then, I asked a couple of people. It was Lever Brothers then. What is Lever Brothers? And they said, Ahala Purudui, Prasiddha company. That really didn't help. Anyway, I thought, let me apply, and I got selected. And they put me into marketing. And I had no clue what marketing was, but I was curious. And I really enjoyed marketing. So Unilever was like a university, a corporate university, absolutely fantastic learning and growing opportunity at Unilever. They had no issues that I didn't know anything about marketing. I remember the first day I walked in, I told my boss, I'm an architect. Of course, I'm happy to be in marketing, but I don't know anything about marketing. He said, that's okay, I will tell you. And that's how it worked. He told me, and I learned. So it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Subsequently, I tried out sales as well. So I stayed 12 years in marketing. From management, I got promoted very, very quickly, went up to marketing manager, then moved as a head of customer marketing into sales. Again, I didn't know sales, but I wanted to check out sales, what it was like. And then having done marketing and sales, I was really clear that while both functions are really good, very interesting, throughout my life, I had one kind of inclination, that is to do something for the people. And the more I worked, the more I realized that HR, human resources, might be the place I need to be. So even in marketing and sales, there was the opportunity to do a lot of things for the people, because I had people reporting to me. In marketing, I had a small team, about 5 people. In sales, I had 23 people in my team. And they all loved the way I led them. They loved the environment I created. They loved the culture I created. And I felt I could do this at a larger scale if I moved into human resources. So it took a lot of convincing, because Unilever was investing in me as a marketing person, and the sales training was a added something that will add to be a better marketer. Unilever had no idea of making me a HR person. But as an organization, it's an amazing organization that lets people, they take people's wishes also into account. So finally, they allowed me to get into human resources. And I spent the next 9 years in human resources. Once again, didn't know human resources because I haven't studied it, but because I have worked in marketing and sales, and I have been a leader and a line manager responsible for people, I knew what human resources was from the other side of the table, meaning from a line manager or a boss side of things. And now I was going to learn human resources from a theory side of things, so to speak. So the funny thing is, the 12 years in marketing and the 2 years in sales, I did in Sri Lanka, in Unilever Sri Lanka. So Unilever is a multinational. We are present in over 90 countries. But HR, because I was new to HR and I was quite senior then in the organization, they asked me whether I was willing to go to India, Mumbai, and stay around 6 months with Hindustan Unilever and learn human resources from the senior leadership there. And of course, I agreed. I was a mother by then, mother of 2 children. My husband was a civil engineer. So what I thought of doing was, I didn't want to leave the kids behind for 6 months. And I didn't think it was worthwhile taking everyone and going with them to another country for 6 months. It was too short a period to make such a disruption. So I decided that since this was something I wanted, I will travel home every weekend. Many people said that is impossible to do. I remember someone specifically saying no one has the time, the energy, or the money to do such a thing. I didn't think so. I thought if you really believe in something, you really want something, it's just a matter of making it work. So I would, every Monday, I would fly to Mumbai. It's a 2.5-hour flight. And every Friday night, I would fly back, another 2.5-hour flight. I did this for 6 months and it worked well. The kids were okay with it because I am a workaholic. I work long hours. So what they said was, anyway, even when I was in the country, usually when I went to work, they were sleeping. When I returned from work, they were sleeping. So they anyway saw me during the weekend. So my daughter told me nothing has changed really. It's the same. So 6 months having worked in Hindustan Unilever, I liked Hindustan Unilever and they liked me and they offered saying, why don't you continue? And I just continued to work for another 2 years. So altogether it was 2.5 years. I live with my parents in Moratuwa and my in-laws are nearby as well. So I didn't want to leave them behind. I thought it's best for the children and for my husband who was working that they stay in Sri Lanka. So the entire 2.5 years, I continued to fly on Monday and come back on Friday. And of course, it was out of pocket and it was worth it. So people still talk about it. They still say, I don't know how you did it. And I tell them, I don't see what the problem is. I didn't see it as a big deal, even though everyone else thought it was a big deal, but I still don't think so. Throughout my career, people have asked me, how come, you did architecture, marketing, sales, HR, and then within HR, so after 2.5 years in India, where I was doing a South Asia role, South Asia comprised of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. So I traveled quite frequently to these countries. After that, I got a global role, which was based in Switzerland. Once again, I told the organization that I don't want to move out of the country because my daughter was going to Visakha by then, and my son was in Lyceum. My husband was working. My parents were happy. in-laws were happy with us being around, and I thought, why disrupt all that? And the organization was happy to let me work from home and travel as required. So I did a global job that was supposed to be based in Switzerland. I did it from Moratuwa and traveled whenever it was required. So I did this for a good 5 years. And the last 1 year, I worked in Sri Lanka, Unilever Sri Lanka in HR. So within my entire HR career, only 1 year I have worked in Sri Lanka. Everything else was global or regional. The global job was amazing. I think it was the best part in my life. I was responsible out of the 90 countries. I was responsible for 60 countries in a specific role. And it got me traveling a lot. In one particular year, out of the 12 months, I traveled 10. And it was really amazing locations that I wouldn't have gone privately because they're so expensive. But when the organization is sending you, who would say no? So the locations were New York, London, Switzerland, Netherlands, South Africa, Singapore, Vietnam, and of course, India, to name a few. So that was amazing. And it was a lot of fun meeting so many different people. When I was in marketing, the main hub was South Asia and India. So we mainly traveled to India. And marketing is supposed to be the more glamorous function in the corporate. HR is supposed to be the boring function. But when I think about it, HR is what took me around the world to all the glamorous locations. Marketing took me only to India. So I always say, if you're looking for glamour and flamboyance, well, HR is it. It is. But I don't think every marketing career and every HR career ends up like this. It's just the way it worked out for me. And I made personal choices that whatever I do, family came first. I didn't want to disrupt my family. And as my children grew up, so right now today, my daughter is 18 and my son is 16. So as my children grew up, I had a lot of pressure, especially from my daughter who was a teenager. When I get jobs based in Switzerland, he was like, Mom, let's go, let's go. You know how kids are. But I didn't want to go because my experience of my friends who went for after A-level, when they went for university and all, none of them came back. And I knew if I take my kids and go to Switzerland, there were subsequently, I had global jobs based out of Singapore, UK, US, and all of that. I knew if I go to any one of those countries, the kids will not come back. And I thought, someday if they leave Sri Lanka, that is their choice. Why should I orchestrate it? Why should I make it happen myself? If it is going to happen naturally, let it be. I don't want to get in the way of their choice. But I think Sri Lanka is a wonderful country. Having traveled to all of the countries, having worked in so many countries, having met so many people, I felt Sri Lanka is my home. It's the best place to be. My friends, my family, I like everything about it. In the morning you come out and most of the days it's blue sky, beautiful sun, greenery. You don't really get that everywhere in the world. I have worked in Dubai and in the Middle Eastern countries where there are people who have never seen rain. I got the Fulbright scholarship and went to the US for a year. And winter is fun if it is just once in your life. But if I were to live in a country where there was winter every year, I wouldn't like it. And so on and so forth. So I think it's just that it depends on where you were born and what you were used to. Because if you take Eskimos, none of them want to leave Iceland. And you would wonder why it's such a freezing place, but they were born there. So they're used to that climate and they think that's fine. And I think that's exactly what happened to me. I was born here in Colombo, which is hot and humid. mosquitoes, flies, cockroaches, all the bad things. But end of the day, this is where I was born. This is what I'm used to, and I like it here. And therefore, I made a choice that I'm not going to leave. I also felt I'm responsible for my parents and my in-laws, and I need to look after them in their elderly life. So I accidentally stumbled upon this Dhamma school. What happened was, while I was teaching in India, not teaching, working in India, because I live with my parents, my mother was very keen to put my kids to Dhamma school. I was against it because I went to Dhamma school until grade 3 and I hated it as a student. I thought it was the most boring place on earth. And I thought it was utter waste of time at grade 3. And luckily, because I was doing the scholarship exam, the scholarship classes at that time clashed with the Dhamma school timing. And I was so happy when my mom pulled me out of Dhamma school and put me into scholarship class instead. The scholarship class was also very boring, but between Dhamma school and scholarship class, I would have chosen the scholarship class. So because my experience of going to Dhamma school was so boring, I didn't want my kids experiencing it. So when my mother said, you know, you must put your son and daughter to Dhamma school, I was like, no, I don't think they need it. So what she did was, once I started working in India, because I was not around, she went and enrolled them in the Dhamma school. She actually bribed them. She told them, if you go to Dhamma school, I'll buy you ice cream. So my daughter, I forget what age she was, but I think she was slightly bigger age than you can bribe a kid with an ice cream. And she said, no. My son was at the right age where an ice cream will do it. So he said yes. So it ended up that he started going to Dhamma school. And because I'm home over the weekend, once there was a parents meeting and my mother said, the least you can do is go to the parents meeting. So I was like, whatever. And I, you know, this is what happens when you live with your mother, however old you are, they tell you what to do and you got to listen to them. So I was like, okay, my mother is ordering me to go to a parents meeting. So I went to the parents meeting and I was really impressed. It was the same Dhamma school that I went when I was a kid, but it was so different. This was an English medium Dhamma school. And the principal of the Dhamma school was a young monk. I was very, very impressed with his vision. His vision was to create a good citizen, a person who has good values and ethics, good moral values and ethics, and a good leader. And that's it. That was all that he wanted. And I was like, wow. And he said that we are short of teachers because there are plenty of teachers who can teach Dhamma school, but we are short of teachers who are willing to do it in English medium. Now, I love teaching. The only reason why I didn't go into teaching was because it didn't pay well. And I was very interested in Buddhism, not as a religion. I'm not a religious person. I was interested in it for the science behind it, for the philosophy, for the psychology behind it. And I approached the monk and I said, look, I don't think I'm your regular traditional Dhamma school teacher because I'm not into flowers and pahan and worshipping and gatha and all that stuff, but I am really very much into the psychology of Buddhism, the science behind Buddhism, the philosophy behind Buddhism. That part I'm very thorough. I have studied it on my own and I meditate. I have been meditating from the age of 15. My father was a meditation teacher himself, and I used to go with him from the age of 15. And I really liked it. I liked what meditation can do for you. It makes you very peaceful. It concentrates you. When you're angry, it helps you to calm down. When you are frustrated, it helps you to think clearly. When you are sad, it helps you to get perspective. When you're scared, it helps you to calm down. And the benefits of meditation has been so immense that from the age of 15, I simply practiced, experimented, learned various techniques. And what I told the monk was, what I really like about the Buddha's teaching is the whole meditation part, the psychology part, the part about becoming a good human being, the part about helping others, being kind, being compassionate, being caring. And he said that is exactly what I want to teach the children. It's not about, this is less of a religion, more of a philosophy. So it worked really well. I started teaching in the Dhamma school, and I was still working in India. So most often the Friday night flight that I take out of Mumbai, it lands in Colombo early morning. So by the time I would come home, about 5:30 in the morning or 6 in the morning, just in time to get ready and go to Dhamma school. So most often I would have come without sleeping, but go to Dhamma school, teach. Even though my mother managed to bribe my son with an ice cream, when I saw the value of the Dhamma school, I thought I need to encourage my daughter. And she didn't listen to reason that it's a good thing to do. And I am not a mother who would force a child or scold or threaten. I am more of a collaborative person. So I asked her, what do you need for you to try it out at least for 6 months? And she said, I think she was about 12. She said, if you promise to buy me a tab at the end of 6 months, I will go to Dhamma school for 6 months. So I was like, I was thinking this kid is very smart, but I was thinking, okay, if that is what she needs to go to Dhamma school for 6 months, all right, I said, all right, it's a deal. So I was really hoping that in 6 months' time, she will make friends and she will like the environment. And it worked out well. She did. And then she was like, okay, after 6 months, so where's my tab? And by then my son was like, if Aki is getting a tab, I also want a tab. And luckily for me, I was sent on a visit to Dubai, and at the Dubai airport, there was a buy one, get one free tab offer. And both kids got their tab. I thought it was a really bad idea because as a Dhamma school teacher, I was telling parents, you shouldn't give phones and tabs to children. And here I have gone and bought a tab for my children. It was really quite a terrible thing, actually. But anyway, I was glad that I managed to convince both children to go to Dhamma school because my daughter, she found friends, she continued, she eventually became a prefect, and finally she ended up being head prefect. And my son was a prefect as well. So I was really glad that it worked out that way. I'm still not happy about the fact that I had to buy them tabs for it, but anyway, it worked out very well. So why I shared that with you was just to show you that even when I was working overseas, coming home just for the weekend, because I believed that teaching something good for children, something of moral and ethical values was a useful thing, I decided to dedicate time from my weekend for the Dhamma school, even while I was doing this job traveling between Colombo and Mumbai. So now it is about, I don't know what years now. I'm still continuing, no matter what. In my global role, whenever I had to travel, I told you in 1 year I traveled, there were 10 months that I had to travel. No matter where I travel, I always make sure that I book the tickets in a way that I get home in time for Dhamma school on Saturday. And most often it's straight from the airport to the Dhamma school, just 5 minutes to change clothes, so that it is the right attire for the Dhamma school. Other than that, when COVID happened, what I realized was people were, now I think people don't care. They are really cool about it. But initially last year, people were very worried, what will happen, will we die and so on. And I realized there was a opportunity to help people to calm down and let them really, understand the realities of life and really calm down. So I offered family and friends that I will do meditation Dhamma talk through Zoom. And it slowly became popular, and friends invited friends and they invited friends. And it grew into quite a large group. And what I started somewhere in April last year, it's still going on every Saturday and Sunday from 7 to 8:15 p.m. So other than when I'm doing a program like this, I do it every Saturday and Sunday. And that helps people to really calm down. So the type of meditation I teach is mindfulness meditation, loving kindness, which is metta meditation, Maitri Bhavana. And I do a bit of Chittanupassana to help people to understand how the mind works. I listen to a lot of talks by monks and other people, and I try to relate the Dhamma through my own experiences, because what I feel is as laymen, we need to understand how to live these principles in real life. And for me, whenever I am not sure what to do, I just think about what is the Dhamma way? What is the right way to do something? Recently, so after 23 years, I left Unilever this year. 1st September, I joined an organization in the apparel industry, Hella Clothing, as the Chief People Officer. So that is another name to say Head of HR. This organization is present in 4 countries. Other than Sri Lanka, it is also present in Kenya, Ethiopia, Egypt. Altogether, we have about 15,000 people employed in all these 4 countries, and we are a Sri Lankan multinational. So for me, it was a big joy from a global multinational like Unilever to be able to join a Sri Lankan multinational and be able to share all the learnings, experiences, standards that I learned from a global multinational with a Sri Lankan organization. And the apparel industry is anyway very close to my heart because it brings the much needed dollars to the country, as well as the workforce is primarily women. And I think whether it is in Sri Lanka or in the world, there's a lot of support we need to give women to be in the workforce, because eventually they become wives and mothers. And currently the way work is structured, it becomes very hard for a wife and a mother to continue to work in comparison to a male who will be a husband or a father. So it's a good opportunity to try and see what we can do to make things more equal and fair and easier for women to work as well as men in any industry, in any organization. So these were the reasons that excited me about this move. I'm really enjoying it. Recently, somebody asked me, how do I decide what to do, whether it is right or wrong? How do I decide? And I said, look, it's very simple. First of all, ask yourself, whatever I'm going to say or whatever I'm going to do, is it good for me? That's the first question you have to ask. Because if it is not good for you, if it is harming you, harmful for you, you should not do it. The second question you need to ask is it good for others? So even if it is good for you, if it is going to harm others or damage others, you should not say it, you should not do it. The third and the last question you need to ask is it good for the planet? So even if it is good for you and good for others, but if it is not good for this planet, you should not do it. And this is the Dhamma wheel. And the whole reason to learn any religion, be it Christians, Muslims, Hindus, any religion, is to understand how to live like a good person. And all you need to do in any religion that you belong to is ask yourself the question, what does good mean in my religion? And how should I then behave? How should I speak that reflects the goodness that that religion was trying to teach whoever is following them? So I'll stop there and I'll give you time for questions. Like I told you, Natasha, once I get started, not easy to stop me.
Nalisha, I'm Shirani Balasuriya.
Oh, hi, madam. How are you, madam? So nice to hear.
And I didn't know it was you who was going to come. And because it says Nalisha Vijay Singh here.
Yes.
And of course, I was then realized who you were because you were one of our first students in the art landscape. I'm trying to unmute myself, but it's I don't know if you can see me vaguely. I think yes, just yeah, the lighting is not good. But anyway, I'm really delighted to see you, and it's wonderful to see that how you have gone in your career path and what you're doing to other people. So I'm so happy and really feel blessed that I came in contact with your father as well, who was also a very wonderful person. And I can see the DNA being carried on. So I just want to tell you that, simply that, So happy.
Madam, you look as beautiful as you were 20, 30
so
years.
Kind. You're so kind. Yes.
You were tall and elegant back then, and you look the same now. I'm so happy to see you because I thought.
Me too. I was thinking, whatever the others are going to ask, I'm going to meet with you and say how happy I am to talk to you and how your father came and did some meditation classes for the master's students as well, And
Yes.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I knew you had gone to USA, but after that, I completely, lost touch with you. And I'm so impressed in what you have done and that quality of knowing your culture, knowing yourself, doing good to others, because I think love your neighbor as thyself, that's the principle that one has to use. So our BLA family is also being nurtured still by me. You won't believe I have retired, but I'm still continuing as a consultant to them. So I'm trying hard to love thy neighbor like yourself and nurture them. So Nalisha, I won't talk anymore because I think the students are waiting. And I'm so happy to see you. Wonderful.
Same here, madam. Same here.
Yes, and you give my regards to your parents as well.
Yes, madam.
Since such a long time. Okay.
Thank you.
So over to you, BLA students.
Thank you, Madam Shirani, and thank you, Ms. Nadisha Vijay Singh, for that amazing and inspiring session. It was indeed, your life story was indeed very inspirational, and there were many things we could extract from those little stories in your life into our lives as well. So as we have neared the end of today's discussion, now it's time for the questions from our BLA undergrads here today. So if you have not yet submitted your questions, you can click on the Slido link that is posted in the chat box and post your questions there. Okay, so let's commence the Q&A session, madam. I hope you're ready.
Yes, darling, of course.
Okay. So madam, we have one question with us. Let me read it out to you. What do you think made Unilever believe in you to send you all over the world?
It was not a belief, it was a job requirement. I was a HR business partner for 4 vice presidents who were responsible for procurement. So procurement is buying all the chemicals and packaging material required to make the products we make. So as you may know that Unilever makes soaps and shampoos and various other products. And most of the procuring of the products we try to do at a global level. And therefore, procurement was organized as a global organization. And I was HR business partner for half of that global organization. And their business activities was what made me travel to all of these locations. So there were either business meetings, or there were trainings that I conducted, or there would be a new leader settling in a new country, and they needed my support to settle, change management. So it was part of my job. They would have sent anybody. It was not just that they believed in me. It was part of a global role to travel. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, madam, indeed. We have a second question, madam. So that asks, why do you think personality development is important to undergrads like us?
So I'll share a story with you, and that will help you to understand why personality is so important. It is about being true to who you are. So I grew up in what I would call a middle class family culture, a Buddhist family. My father and my uncles in both sides of the family, they were not into, for some strange reason, and I call it a strange reason, they were not into alcohol or cigarettes. And therefore, the male cousins and my brother, they were not into it either. So I grew up in a family environment where we had parties, we had fun, but in order to have fun, alcohol was not required. Now, when I joined Unilever, there were 10 management trainees that joined together. At the time, 3,000 kids applied, university graduates, and they shortlisted to 300, then they shortlisted to 50, and then to 20, and then they selected 10. So it was quite a long and tedious procedure. Out of the 10, there were only 2 local graduates, other 8 were foreign graduates. And this is back in 1998. I joined in 1998, so I'm 48 years old now. When I joined in 1998, most of the employees in marketing were foreign graduates. And therefore, the culture in marketing was every Friday, people went clubbing. Now, for someone like me, though I went to Visakha, I have never been to a nightclub in my life. And of course, I have been to parties where there was alcohol and everything, but I had never been to a party where, other than me, everyone else was having alcohol. Because I was very young, I was 24, I felt very insecure, given that everybody was drinking and I wasn't. Made me feel very insecure, made me feel what we call gaudy. I was thinking, is there something wrong with me that everyone else is enjoying so much through alcohol, and I don't need alcohol to enjoy myself. And there's a lot of pressure that comes from people who drink to people who don't drink. There was a lot of pressure from the girls and the boys saying, why don't you try something? If you don't try something, how will you know? And so on. So for about a good 1 year, I would say I was a lost person. I was trying to understand for myself, how could it be that I lived a life where I thought it was right, and then suddenly now I'm in an environment where now my life looks like it's wrong. And so I was feeling actually insecure. I felt like I don't belong. I was wondering whether I should actually start taking alcohol just to belong. But somehow something inside me said that is not the right thing to do. So therefore, I simply decided that even though it was not the easy thing to do, I decided that I was going to be myself. And gradually people realized that, I am who I am, and they wouldn't then pressurize me. But that first 1 year was very difficult because I started doubting myself. I started doubting everything about myself, about how I grew up, about my family. I remember visiting friends, new friends that I met at Unilever, and they had what do you call alcohol cabinets where they will open the cabinet and ask, "What would you drink?" And none of my friends I had up to then had such things in their homes, and these were, of course, very rich kids, Columbus 7. I don't want to label anybody, but I realized that the kids I have been associating were middle class or lower middle class. And in Unilever, I was seeing a world that existed in Sri Lanka that I didn't know that existed in Sri Lanka. And I used to think, how come I didn't know such a world exists in Sri Lanka? But that quickly changed over the next 5 years when a lot of local graduates started coming, and within 5-6 years of my joining Unilever, the marketing department completely changed. Most of the people who were there before, they migrated or they left to other jobs. And the replacements were mostly people who were like me. And now, 20 years later, when I look at marketing, it's extremely representative of what I know of Sri Lanka. It's not what it was back then at all. But what shocked me was that that you can be put in a situation where you doubt what is good, and you have questions about, is that really good, is that really right? And that taught me a lesson that you have to have self-confidence, that no matter what others think of you, no matter whether they will judge you, they might think you are really good, it doesn't matter, because you have to be true by what you believe in. Another thing that happened to me in the corporate world was girls used to wear makeup. Now, I grew up like a tomboy. I have my elder brother, just me and my brother. And as a kid, I wanted to be a boy. And as I realized that now I can't be a boy, I thought, well, at least I'll be boyish. So I was quite a tomboy. My favorite suit, even now, is a denim and a t-shirt and shoes. So when I started going to the corporate, some dressed in saris, some dressed in dresses. I wore, the court suits that girls wear. I wore court suits. And I didn't wear makeup because I never liked makeup. And I don't have a problem in others wearing makeup. I think makeup makes you look very nice. It's just that I didn't like it. Now, people used to ask me, why aren't you wearing makeup? Honestly, I don't think it's anybody's business to even ask such a question. But you know Sri Lanka, right? Everybody pokes their nose into other people's business, and that's part of our culture, and I'm okay with that. So I would then tell them that I don't like makeup. And they would like, no, that is not right. That is not good. You must wear makeup. So I said, why? And nobody had a reason for the why. They just said that everybody does it. So I managed to Google a beautiful statement. And Nishanta, maybe you can just write it down and put it in the chat. This beautiful statement was, wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. Right is right, even if no one is doing it. right? So that was like my haye paharak, you know, that was my haye pahara. So I would say wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it. Right is right, even if no one is doing it. I said, why do women think they have to wear makeup? And why is it that society expects women to wear makeup and not men? If makeup is required, it should be required for both men and women. Why is it only women have to wear it? I didn't think that was equal, and I didn't think that was necessary. So you can imagine I was a troublemaker, right? But my father taught me to ask the question why. And Buddhism taught me to ask the question why. The Buddha said, don't accept anything, not even my own teaching, if you are not convinced. And then I was like, yeah, that's a cool way to live, right? So this makeup thing, it was even in my HR role, I told you I was in global and regional roles. I mean, global and regional roles, nobody cares about makeup and everything. But I remember when I came back to Sri Lanka, the first thing my boss asked me was, why aren't you wearing makeup? And I said, because I don't like it. And the boss looked shocked. The boss was a lady. The boss looked shocked. And then I said, look, your makeup is very nice. I like it. It looks beautiful, but I just don't wear makeup. That's it. And I want to tell another thing. I think it's very important in building your personality to be open-minded. One thing I did was at a very young age, I was curious about all religions. So next door to my house lived a reverend uncle and the wife. And this reverend uncle was such a nice gentleman, very gentle, soft-spoken, and I really liked him. So one day I asked him, I said, I'm really interested in Christianity. Do you have any book I can refer to? And he said, child, there's only one book you need to refer to, and he gave me the Bible. And I read the Bible. I read it end to end. I loved the stories. I loved the morals. I loved the messages in it. And I thought this is really good. I must study about other religions because you then get to understand. You become broad-minded. You really understand why others are saying and doing certain things. So when I went to Mumbai, for Hindustan Unilever and spent 2.5 years there, I used that opportunity to study Hinduism and various other religions in India. And it was very, very interesting. The only religion I couldn't really invest time in studying was Islam. And I had told a couple of my Muslim friends that they need to give me, the dummy version, right? Islam for dummies, so that I can quickly, get up to speed on the really important stuff. So I just want to, there are two things. So somebody recently asked me, who are your role models? And I told them I have 3 role models, right? One is the Buddha, who said about Maitreya, Metta. He said, think of a mother who has only one child. Imagine how much that mother loves that one child. That is the amount of love you must give all beings, not just humans, all beings. And I was like, wow, anyone who can say that is a real leader. Somebody asked me, who are your role models for leadership? Right? I said, that is a leader for me. My second leader is Jesus Christ. So I don't know whether all of you know, Jesus Christ was crucified. He was crucified for his beliefs. And that is it's excruciatingly painful. And he's the Son of God, the Almighty God. When reading the Bible, I was thinking, with all the pain he was going through, why didn't he call upon God, his Father, and like in those Marvel movies, just zap out the bad people, just zap, zap them all away. But instead, he he looked up while he was crucified on the cross. He was bleeding and he was in pain. He looked up and he spoke to his Father, the Almighty God, and he said, "Forgive them, Father, for they do not know what they are doing." And I thought, this is a real leader. Anyone who can forgive people who are doing that to them, have compassion to them, that is a real leader. So when I think of leadership, for me, those are two examples. And when I think of role models, a third person that comes to my mind is Mother Teresa. Now, I don't know everything about Mother Teresa. I just know about her just from a surface level. But when I look at her face in pictures, to me, it looks like angels do walk on earth. That is how I felt when I looked at her picture and what she does. So recently a friend of mine was saying, "Oh, you don't know the real story. There has been a lot of scams." And I was like, look, any famous person, the Buddha was criticized, Jesus Christ was crucified. Obviously, Mother Teresa will be accused of scams. That's how it is. Like anyone who is famous, somebody will find something to talk about them. Most of them are false. I said, look, I really don't care. The service these leaders have done to the world is so great that it doesn't matter what stories are there behind them. So these are three people that I really respect and honor. Again, what was the question and where did I end?
That's totally fine, madam. I think that was a lot of valuable messages to our lives. Yeah, I was actually jotting down each and every point you were telling. And just to sum it up, I think some very useful and very inspirational messages for that we always need to believe in our own selves, no matter what's happening around you. That's what's important. And the statement you mentioned, madam, saying wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it, and right is right, is even if no one is doing it. And also regarding the role models, very true that most of the time famous people do face criticisms in life, but we always need to overcome. Thank you, madam, for those insightful words. And we do have a few more questions to you, madam. So the next question is, you are so competent in English. What made you get over the fear of speaking?
Okay, so two things. One is both my mother and father, especially my mother, she came from Veyanguda, which was a nice rural village. And my mother was a beautiful village girl. And then she was a graduate. She met my father at university. My father was an engineer. My mother was arts graduate. It was love at first sight. They married and my dad got an opportunity to go to UK to study masters. And my mom and dad went to UK. This was before me and my brother was born. So my mother learned her English in the UK and my dad was already proficient in it. Once they came back, they realized that the world is changing and that knowing English is going to be very important. So they made a decision that when they have children, they are going to speak English at home. And as a result, myself and my brother, we spoke English at home. My father was also a very down-to-earth, humble person. So he told us, we are speaking English at home so that you are going to be proficient in English and not to show off. So when we go out of our house, we are going to speak in Sinhala. We were not rich. We were very, very middle-class people. So we used to take the bus or the train as our mode of transport. And he specially told us, when we are in a bus or a train, you shall not speak to us in English because other people will think you are showing off. And he said, English is a tool, not a jewel to wear like a necklace to show off, but it's a tool like a hammer or a saw to use when required. So it was very valuable advice. And we used to do this at home. We talk English. When we are with others who are not proficient in English, we would talk in Sinhala to make them feel comfortable. And later, when I married my husband, he preferred to use Sinhala as the language. So because I know the advantage of English, I spoke to my two kids from the day one in English, and he spoke to them in Sinhala. And that worked really well until my son, when he was about 6 or 7, he told me that, I think it was about 8, I don't know, he thought that in Sri Lanka, mothers spoke English and fathers spoke Sinhala. He said he was surprised to find out that that was not the case. So that was the reason. But talking about shyness, I can tell you, nobody believes this when I tell them, but I was an extremely shy public speaker, extremely shy. At school, I never ever took the opportunity to get on a stage. And once by accident, I got talked into doing a stage drama, and I just had one line to say. And when I got onto the stage and when I saw there were, I think, 2,000 girls at that time, 2,000 girls looking at me, I was like, oh my God, I just froze. And thankfully, in order for me to tell that line, somebody had to first ask something from me, then I respond, and that's it. Thankfully, that person forgot to ask me that. And I was like, oh my God. And later, my friend was profusely apologizing to me, saying, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm like, man, you have no idea. You saved my life. You were a lifesaver. So anyway, that showed me how scared I was of public speaking. And I thought I'm never, ever going to get on a stage and speak. And then when I joined Unilever and in marketing, my goodness, that was terrible initially, because as young brand managers, we had to address the sales force. And the sales force was easily, I don't know, 600 people, 1,000 people. I don't know. I lost count. And that was horrible. Thankfully, I'm very fluent in both Sinhala and English. At school, I used to win the prize for both Sinhala and English. I think that's quite a rare thing. But I'm very fluent in both, and I'm proud about it as well. So speaking in Sinhala was never an issue. Speaking in public, in any language, that was the issue. So I asked my father, what should I do? And he said, he was surprised because he was a professor and he was teaching. My mother was a school teacher and she was teaching, and they both had never had public speaking shyness. And they both were like, how can you be even our child? I'm like, I just freak out. And they also didn't have an answer. And I then checked, I read up on this, how to overcome public fear. Trust me, if there's any issue in life, just Google it. Those days there was nothing to Google. So I read up on it, and there was so much of self-help tools. So one self-help tool was, if you're going to do a public speech, there are 3 things you need to do. One thing is you need to know the content. If you don't know the content, don't even agree to speak, because that's the worst thing that can happen. So as a brand manager, of course, I knew the content. I knew what I need to talk about my brand. Second rule was you have to practice, practice, and practice. So it said practice in front of a mirror, practice with a friend, practice wherever. So I practiced a lot. Third rule was the most important rule. It said the day before the event, go to the real place, get onto the stage when the audience is empty, and practice there, imagining that the audience is full. Now that for me was the deal breaker. That is that one thing that really helped me to overcome stage fright. And I did that many a times. And the funny thing is how the human brain or the mind changes. Gradually, I went from being scared of public speaking, from fearing public speaking, from hating public speaking, to being neutral about it, being like, okay, this is not bad. And then to, I love it. And now I love public speaking. Anyone tells me to get on a stage and speak to 1,000 people, I would love it. That is the extreme range you can go. So any one of you who feel that you are shy of public speaking, trust me, take every opportunity to speak. If you are doing a group project, take an opportunity to present in the group. Start small. Ask a question in class. Just raise your hand and ask a question. I was so scared of asking a question in class for the same reason. It's public speaking, right? To raise your hand and ask a question in class is public speaking. So I would just, the tips also said that you have to force yourself. So I would just ask questions for no reason, just to overcome my fearness. And what I realized was the more you do it, the more you overcome your fearness, and gradually you lose the fear. And then the good news is gradually you start to enjoy it.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, madam, for those words. And in final, madam, do you have any advice for us in short, it would be very useful to us?
Yes, I do. What I have learned in my 48 years is life is not about me. It is about what I can do for others. Life is not about what I can do for myself. Life is all about what I can do for others. If you realize this simple truth, you will have such a beautiful life. So for me, I'm always thinking about what can I do to make my mother happy, my father happy, my brothers and sisters, my husband, his family, my children, their friends. Now that I'm working and I'm in HR, when I'm in HR, I think of all the employees as my children, irrespective of their age, how to make the work environment happy, how to help them be safe, be healthy, physically healthy, emotionally healthy. When I teach meditation or when I teach in Dhamma school, it's all about how to help people be good people. Because when you are good, when you are kind, when you're compassionate, you feel so peaceful. Your brain is designed to feel good when you are good. A lot of people don't understand this. If people understand this, there'll be no wickedness in this world. There'll be no quarreling in this world. There will be no selfishness in this world. Humans have been designed to be generous, to be kind, to be caring. Every human being is worthy of love. What I have realized is it doesn't matter if those humans love me back or not. My choice is to love them anyway. And this is a choice I have made, that I will love and care, be kind and compassionate to all human beings. If they love me back, that's fine. If they don't, they are still worthy of my love and care and kindness and compassion. And that makes me feel very peaceful. And for me, that is the only way to live. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. I'm sure our audience gained a lot of insight and inspiration from hearing your ideas and views. Thank you, Ms. Nadisha, and for those words of inspiration. So as we have now come to the end of our session, this session would not have been possible if not for our amazing audience, and your feedback means a lot to us. So now it's time to express your views about today's session. And first, I would like to invite someone representing the first year to give us your feedback.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Yeah, I'm Kavinash from the first year.
Hi, Ravina.
On behalf of the first year, I would like to say it's a very eye-opening and very, very interesting session, ma'am. We right throughout. You learn that knowing yourself and being true to yourself is important. And if we are to know our surroundings, and we learn how you could just branch off from this career and reach new heights, that really gives us confidence, and we really needed it. So thank you for that. And the Dhamma way that you do what is good in everyone's context. Now that's very relatable to our profession too. And we learn that from you that personality is very important, and you're just an example of the higher you go, the more you just need to be down to earth. And I feel that every girl should have heard your speech today. So it was very, like I said, very eye-opening. And Thank you, ma'am, for today's speech.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravinath. Thank you.
All right. Next, I would like to invite someone representing the second year to give us your feedback.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm Dharak Dantanarayan from level 2. So actually, it was very great to listen to you, and it's really inspiring. And how you have opened your opportunities in 180 degrees different paths, what you have started, and how you have backed up your choices and decisions, and how you have stayed strong with the real person inside you, and that is very inspiring. So, and also I would really appreciate that you spoke of equal opportunities for women and like such. So that is really great, madam, and thank you very much for your insights. Thank you.
Thank you, Taraka. Thanks a lot.
Next, I would like to invite someone representing the third year to give us your feedback.
Good evening, madam. I'm Tharushi. Actually, it was such an interesting session. Thank you so much for sharing your own real life experiences, challenges, your family life, especially as a woman and as a mother. And I think we gained a lot for ourselves, our career, how to be good for ourselves, to others, and also to the whole planet. And I think your words always motivated us to believe ourselves and believe who we are truly rather than following all the common flows in the society. Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, Tarushi.
Finally, I would like to invite someone representing the fourth year to give us your feedback.
Good evening, madam. I'm Kaumini Vijayakon from level 4. And I will take this chance to thank you for spending your valuable time to share your experience with us. And I think there were a lot of things in your story that we can use as a guidance to develop our personalities and even identify ourselves as well. And personally, I found what you said about being shy and public speaking to be very important. So thank you again. And thank you for organizing this event.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for your valuable feedback. We have also shared the feedback form in the chat. We would appreciate it if all of you could take a moment to fill it out. As all good things must come to an end, we have now come to the end of today's session. Let me now invite the Secretary of the SSLA, Munadi Jayawardena, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, sister. Hope you can see me and hear me well.
Yes.
Yeah. So very good evening, everyone. I'm Munadi Jayawardena, Secretary of SSLA. First and foremost, I must say that as a committee, we are always trying our best to give knowledge and many opportunities for the SSLA members by giving them the chance to gain knowledge to enhance their academic and professional well-being with the Law Station series. So today, our main target was to give them the opportunity to enhance and develop their personality, which is very much important as students or as a professional. Because as an architect, landscape architect, it is very much essential to develop those things to be successful. So I think today our target was successfully achieved and we gained that knowledge. On behalf of all our committee members, I deliver my sincere gratitude for our guest speaker, Ms. Nadisha Vijayasinghe, Chief People Officer at Hello Clothing. Thank you so much, madam, for accepting our invitation and giving your fullest support to contribute to Law Station episode 2. It was such an excitement and a valuable chance for all of us to listen into your highly inspirational and motivational speeches with many advices, guidance, and with life experiences as well. And it was all your contribution which made this event a success. And then I would like to thank Faculty Dean, Dr. D.P. Chandrasekhara, and Head of the Department, Dr. Janaka Vijayasundara, and our Senior Treasurer of the Society, Dr. Gamini Veerasinghe, for all your support and guidance. And then my heartfelt gratitude to Professor Shirani Balasurya, Senior Lecturer, Landscape Architect Sherin Amendra, and Landscape Architect Rasul Vanigasekar, and all the senior lecturers of the Department of Architecture and the other internal lecturers for accepting our invitation and coming today. Your participation was a huge encouragement for us. And finally, I would like to thank all the present student members of SSLA for your valuable participation for today's session. Thank you so much, and hope you gain a lot of advantages and knowledge throughout this event. With this inspiration and motivation, hope you all will contribute to our upcoming events as well with these valuable guidance and advices, and hope you will be there for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sister Yunadi. And in conclusion, Professor Shirani Balasurya, Madam, would you like to share a few words with us?
Yes, of course. I was just waiting to be asked, Yes, I think I must congratulate our lovely students because I think they are really quite amazing because they have come together in this turbulent times to organize these things, So I'm so proud of them, really. I feel really, it's worth myself still hanging around the university because our students are so good, And it was such a beautiful message. It was very emotional, it was very spiritual, and it was beautiful, actually, to tell how you have shown us your pathway. And it is so simple as well, to do good to others. And I'm really grateful that you have come back to us. And thank you, students, also for organizing this, because this is just what we need in this COVID-19 times. So stay safe, everybody. And I hope, Nalisha, you can come back to us because you're a great motivator. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam. Anytime, Madam. Anything for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Most privileged, I was thinking now, who is the speaker? And I was going to say, I'm so honored to have you. And then to say it was our Nadisha, But still, we are very honored to have you, wonderful, Very honored to see, because I read about you before the session. And I was thinking, wow, who is this lady, And then to know that I have actually known you, it's really lovely. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you, Madam. The feeling is mutual. Thank you.
Okay.
Good night,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yes, and thank you all for
Good
organizing.
night, Madam.
Okay,
Thank you
bye.
for being with us. So
Bye-bye.
that brings us to the end of the episode of Law Station. Leave your mark. Thank you for your participation. We hope to see you again at the next episode of Law Station. And until we meet again, stay safe. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye.